It's pregame line with the painted line, Edge of Philly Sports and the Sully Show. Do me a favor, before this show starts, go on the YouTube, click that like button, and smash that subscribe button, where I think you're supposed to say smash that like button and click the subscribe button. Either way, please subscribe. We'll be right back with Eagles Cards. Welcome into the Edge of Philly Sports, the Painted Lines pregame live show. I'll be your host, Freddie Burns, and I have a special guest with us today, Joe Sullivan from the Sully Squad of Devro Sports. Joe, how are we feeling today?
Dude, man, I am like beyond pumped. First off, I'm pumped up for a soon-to-be 5-0 football team. At least I hope so. And I'm rocking Phillies underneath this right here because, hey, man, we finally got a baseball playoff run. So, let's go, baby. I'm ready.
Yes. And the Eagles come into today 4-0, the only undefeated team left in the NFL. And the Cardinals come into this game 2-2, and they are actually in first, second, tied for first, second, third, and fourth in their division because the entire division is 2-2 out there in the West. So big matchup today. Before we get into the offense versus defense, defense versus offense, yada, yada. We're 4-0, baby. What is your excitement level on a scale of 1 to 10 right now?
I got to be honest. I'm about an 8.5 to 9. I would say 10, but, being from Philadelphia, I can't help it. It's been ingrained in me to worry about that shoe dropping. You know what I mean? Like, extremely excited, but then, with football, you worry about the injuries. Like they dodged a major bullet last week because when Mailata got hurt, I was like, oh shit, did he tear his forearm or something? You know what I mean? So as long as this team stays healthy, bro, I feel like the sky's the limit, honestly.
Yeah, injuries are certainly a concern, and we'll go over that report for both of them as well. I gotta say, and I hope I'm not being a curmudgeon here. I'm 7. I'm not fully there yet. I'm there. I'm excited. I loved what I saw from Jalen Hurts this year. That is what excites me the most because, that was my big question mark, and he's doing things, that he's answering questions that I had, and as long as that continues, not only I'm a 7 for this year. I just need to see him get there, but I'm starting to think like decade now, like down the road. Like if this is him, we're set. We're set. So
yeah, I'm right with you, brother. I mean, Jalen Hurts was my biggest concern, but he's the thing that's really impressed me about him is he's making plays in the pocket, and last week's game showed me a lot about him too because in that inclement weather, a lot of lesser quarterbacks when they throw that early interception would have bothered them the whole game, but he stuck with it and moved the ball. I mean, last week he impressed me even more than some of the games where he put up bigger numbers, honestly.
And Dives checking in here, 9-10, excited over the Eagles. Turnover margin hurts, but nailed it. So many positives. The only negative, I think, is injuries right now. And speaking of injuries, they are a little concerning. So out for the Eagles, Jake Elliott's out. We got a new kicker. That could be a factor. Patrick Johnson is out. Avonte Maddox is out. That's going to be a huge factor there in the slot. We'll get into that. Jordan Mailata is doubtful, so I would say he's probably going to be out. Jack Driscoll will most likely make his first start. And then Boston Scott and Kyron Johnson are both questionable. That's on the on the Eagles side. For the Cardinals, they have their offensive guard, Max Garcia, is out with a toe. Their nose tackle, Rashard Lawrence, out. Matt Prater, so they got a kicker out as well. linebacker Nick Vigil, and then their center Rodney Hudson is doubtful with a knee. They are getting some guys back. AJ Green's coming back as wide receiver, and Rondell Moore is questionable. So we'll see. And then Justin Pugh as well, another guard there for the Cardinals. So there are the injuries. Let's jump into the Eagles offense against the Cardinals defense. So the Eagles offense comes in ranked number 2 in the league as far as total yards are concerned. They're 1,120 through the air, 661 yards on the ground, 10 rushing touchdowns, which is number 1 in the NFL. I didn't realize that till this morning. What do you see and then as far as the Cardinals defense goes, they're ranked about middle of the pack, like 17th in yards. What do you see today with the Eagles offense going up against this Cardinals D?
Okay, well, the Cardinals are fourth. The Cardinals are going to do a lot of blitzing. They have the 4th highest blitz rate in the NFL. They're really good against wide receivers, but tight ends absolutely kill them. The Cardinals have allowed the 2nd most yardage to tight ends, 2nd most receptions in 28, and they've allowed 341 yards receiving to tight ends. So I would expect a lot of Dallas Goedert. Now, the one concern with the Cardinals defense is they're really good against quarterback running. So this probably would be a day where Jalen Hurts spends a lot of time in the pocket and makes plays from the pocket.
Yeah, I saw that stat as well, and that was a concern. Not a concern, but yeah, it's going to be curious to see. And I looked up who they went against. I mean, they had some pretty statue quarterbacks when you talk about Stafford,
right?
But then they also went up against Mahomes, and Derek Carr does a little bit of running out of the pocket. Stafford will run a little bit too. The name's escaping me. The other guy who they went up against. So
they went up against Baker. I mean Baker and
the Panthers. That's it. Yep.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. And again, like I brought up the numbers, but you know as well as I do, sometimes numbers can be deceiving because just like you said, if you're going against Tom Brady, like imagine if you played against Tom Brady 17 weeks. Well, guess what? You probably wouldn't give up a lot of rushing quarterback runs. You know what I'm saying? So, stats could be misleading, but it is, it does make you wonder, like, if maybe, this will be a Hurts day in the pocket,
That certainly. And then as far as another stat that jumped out at me is the Eagles are 5th in the league in yards per play at 6.1 yards per play. And then reverse to the Cardinals, they're 27th in the league, giving up at exactly 6.1 yards per play. So I thought that was kind of cool as far as the averages go, how they're exactly the same and obviously polar opposites of the spectrum. The Eagles should be able to move the ball today. My main concern, I guess, would be is the injury to Jordan Mailata. Now, even if he plays, he's doubtful. I just don't see him being successful. So you got Jack Driscoll making his first start. He was adequate in a rainstorm last week. I thought he played decent and was well. I'm going to be very interested to see that matchup against the Cardinals defensive line. If they're going to move JJ Watt around to possibly get a matchup here and there that way.
Right.
Watt's most times in the interior, but they do move him around. I'd be interested to see that matchup. And as far as the Eagles offense go, like you said, the Cardinals are the highest percentage with blitz rate, or 5th highest, I think, but they suck when they blitz. So
right, exactly.
Like I feel like they're number 1 in yards given up or receptions, 36 receptions, a ton of touchdowns. They haven't done anything blitzing, so it's going to be interesting to see A, if they keep Hurts in the pocket, but then B, will he adjust to the blitz? Will he get the ball out quick enough or take off? Can that matchup, survive itself? What else? Do you have anything else on the Eagles offense that you're interested to see today? How about get into Goddard and how you feel Goddard's going to be? I think that is another matchup that I've written down as well.
Yeah, I mean, and if anybody has Goddard in fantasy, he's definitely a must start. And I'd like to see what AJ Brown can do because I'm not all that impressed with the Cardinals corners. So I'd like to see what AJ Brown could do against this Murphy Jr. guy. I feel like AJ Brown could eat today, to be honest with you.
He could. And then not to go back to Jalen Hurts, but I could see I guess this isn't Jalen Hurts. This is more Shane Steichen versus Vance Joseph.
Mm-hmm.
Calling the play action pass. The Cardinals are very susceptible to the play action. The Eagles love running some play action. And I think with the Eagles rushing attack, it's going to be able to open that up even more. You could have some play action to Goddard. The Eagles offense should not be stopped today. Whether I can't see a scenario where the offense is shut down today. I think where this game could be lost, if it is lost, would be on the defensive side of things. So shifting gears to the Eagles defense, the Eagles come into today defensively. Now, remember we were firing Jonathan Gannon after week 1. Do you remember that, Joe?
I do, and not so fast right now because he's actually done. He's been doing what we wanted him to do. He's been bringing more pressures and the and you know, and how about Hassan Reddick? I mean, Hassan Reddick, boy, he's earning every cent of that contract these last few weeks.
He certainly is. Defensively, they come in number 1 ranked in takeaways, number 1 in sacks, and number 1 in what was the other one? Why is it escaping me? Sacks, takeaways. Oh, and 3 and out. Number 1 in the league. We're talking here. So this defense has made a huge turnaround. The scheme has been more aggressive. And as you speak of Hassan Reddick, as well as Sweat, that you've seen them out in coverage with Jonathan Gannon doing adjustments. And initially, I was kind of upset about that. I'm like, what are these guys doing?
Right.
When the coverage, but listening to different guys, Shane Hath, one of them from the Painted Lines, and his video. Congratulations to him. Just got a job with Bleeding Green Nation, which is another great company. Cool. That's kind of the cost of doing business. You know what I mean? Like, you gotta be deceptive by putting them in coverage so that the Cardinals have to play against that. What matchup do you foresee with the Eagles defense going up against the this Cardinals though?
I got a few of them. So you mentioned before on the injuries, the Cardinals center is doubtful. So I have written down here, I got Fletcher Cox going on Harlow, the backup center. And then I got, our old friend Zach Ertz. I got Kazir White is going to spend a lot of time covering Ertz. So we'll see how that matchup goes. TJ Edwards, because, the Cardinals may be throwing some little wheel routes to Connor. So you got TJ Edwards on Connor. And then, of course, I think the biggest one, because with DeAndre Hopkins suspended, we got our man Darius Slay. How effective is he going to be coming off that injury last week? He's matched up against Hollywood Brown, so I'm really interested to see. Slay's a hell of a player, and he did a number on Jefferson. But how banged up is Slay? Is he going to be able to cover Brown?
The Cardinals offense I think we were messaging about it about a week ago. It's very underwhelming to me. And
exactly.
What's intriguing though, and different, that they're in shotgun 91% of the time. Mm-hmm. So it's pretty predictable in that sense as far as that goes. And then they like to run a little bit of no huddle. I think 35% of the offense is running a no huddle. So little Chip Kelly-esque stuff that the Eagles defense is going to have to be prepared for conditioning wise. I don't see as it being a major issue. So you talk about the Slay injury. My main concern on this game is the Avonte Maddox injury.
Yeah, good point.
Because Josiah Scott will get the start there, but the Eagles like to use C.J. Gardner-Johnson as well down in the slot as he did in New Orleans. But, I know it was raining, but they looked god-awful in that Jaguars game. Agnew was wide open multiple plays, and then there were multiple plays down the seam that the Jaguars receivers were wide open, and Trevor Lawrence just couldn't get the ball out because he was fumbling it or he couldn't throw it because of the weather. So if there's a matchup to be had here, I think it's the Eagles slot going up against Rondell Moore if he's healthy. I'm sure they're going to move Dortch around, get him in the slot, and then as well as Marquise Brown. So I'm glad Slay's back. It's a huge advantage to have him back, but that slot is a huge concern for me.
Yeah, and you know what? Great point about that too, because one of the key features of the game was the miscommunication with the new guys out there. Like the Jaguars. What was that when we were up 2 scores? They had that they got that 40-some yard pass play down this lane, and that was miscommunication. Nobody covered them. So when you have backups like Scott in there, that's one of the things. It's not even really about him getting beat, physically. It's more the mental game.
Great point. are they ready to play? Are they mentally ready to go here?
Mm-hmm.
Wayne Miller says, "What's up, fellas? Go Birds! Go Birds!
Go
Wayne,
Birds, baby! Thanks for checking us out."
Yep, thanks for listening. Do me a favor, go click that like and subscribe button on the YouTube if you're looking from Facebook. But okay, Anthony Aids, hey guys, how you doing, Anthony? What's going on? Who you guys like today? Obviously the Birds.
I was gonna say but it's funny you said that because we both go obviously the Birds, and there's one I know this has nothing to do with this year's team, but you realize we haven't won in Arizona since 2001. The last time the Eagles won out there in Arizona was 2001. Now, I'm not a guy that usually looks at numbers like that because when I hear these betting guys and for instance, I'm listening yesterday, like Howard Eskin has this guy like Mark Lawrence on, and he's on there and he's like, oh, this team's like 1-21 against the spread over the last, and I'm thinking to myself, well, what the hell does a team 20 years ago have to do with today? You know what I mean? But it is, but the fact that we haven't won out there in so long, it's one of those things that you go, you know what I mean? Like, is that like one of those places? Like sometimes teams, for some reason, just don't play well in certain areas. You know what I mean?
The West Coast trip, I guess, is a factor there. But
maybe
I tend to agree with you with like, dude, that team was 20 years ago.
Right.
But then you think about it and you look at the trend and it's held true. Like if you gambled for the last 20 years on that trend, you would have made money. So like, is there something to it? Isn't there? I'll tell you one thing. This particular Eagles team, and we have a little bit of extra time here. We're supposed to have 3 guys, but it's just me and you. So I'm just ad-libbing off the rundown here. But this team is more prepared if I've ever seen one. So the media is like Jalen Hurts this week, when they were asking him his questions, he was stunned that the Eagles media did not ask about the Cardinals. All they asked about was the power rankings and all the on the show with Eli and Peyton and all the bull crap. And he pulled it in. It was like, yo, guys, you didn't ask me one question about this. This is a good football team we're playing. Yeah. Let's not set that precedent. What a leader, man. For him to set that tone is huge.
Well, here's another thing about Jalen, too. Let's not kid ourselves. This is a big game for him because – he followed Kyler Murray in Oklahoma, and he wants to go out there and kick Kyler Murray's ass. You know what I'm saying? Like if you remember that game 2 years ago, I mean that was Jalen's like second start or something like that, and Jalen played a hell of a game out there. I mean that was like kind of like his coming out party, and those two guys were going head to head. So this means something to Jalen, and Jalen's probably, what's he always say? Don't watch the rat poison, right? You know what I mean? So these guys got to come into this game. They got to be focused, and I agree with you. I think this football team is really, really focused, and for a second year coach, I think Sirianni's doing a hell of a job with the squad.
Speaking of Sirianni, another story. I was listening to Jason Avant, who's been in the NFL, and Adam Kaplan as well, who knows the ins and outs of all the teams. And he was saying how, like, after a win, like NFL coaches, and you wouldn't think this, you would think it wouldn't be across the board, but he said on every team he's been on, when they win, the coaches aren't as on it. But when you lose, they're up in your face and pay attention to detail.
Right.
I don't get that vibe from Nick Sirianni. And there was a clip from him on Monday or Tuesday where he was hammering them, like, stay hungry. Like, we're not taking our foot off the gas. We're going to continue to move strong and push, which to hear that as a fan is nothing but elation. Like, think about where we've come from here. Like, we come from his first press conference where he was getting laughed off because of how nervous he was.
Right.
Whether you agreed or disagree with it, he did get laughed off there. And then Jalen Hurts, what's he going to be? He can't throw, he can't this. And now we're here 4-0, going on a West Coast trip to take on the 2-2 Cardinals and facing Cliff Kingsbury, as you said, who formerly had Kyler Murray. He also had Mahomes as well.
I know.
And Baker. So I'm kind of rambling there, but what I wanted to get into was how much of a fraud he is as a coach. Was he a good coach, or did those 3 quarterbacks make Cliff Kingsbury?
It's so funny you mentioned that because I am not a Kingsbury fan. I call him a poor man's Chip Kelly. He's a Chip Kelly imitation. Although shout out, I mean, I got to give Chip Kelly props though. He's really turning that UCLA team around. But in the NFL, Chip Kelly had his playbook was like Tecmo Super Bowl. Remember Tecmo Super Bowl back in the day?
Yep.
It had like 5 plays. That's Chip Kelly. And I feel like Kingsbury is kind of the same. Kingsbury does not impress me at all. I don't think he's a great coach. And if that team struggles going down the stretch this year, his days in the NFL I think are numbered.
I agree. So we got about 10 minutes left here. Let's get into our players of the game as well as predictions. Let's start. We'll go player of the game first, then come back on prediction. So let's go first. Who is going to be your player of today's game?
All right. We already brought up the tight end thing, so it'd probably be easy for me to say. It would be easy for me probably to say Dallas Goedert, but I'm going Jalen Hurts. I'm going chalk. I'm going the quarterback. I think Jalen. This is a huge game individually for him because he wants to go out there and he wants to show that he's better than Kyler Murray, and I really think that it means something to him. So I think he's gonna have a huge game.
Jalen Hurts, your player of the game. Then I'll go ahead and take the Dallas Goedert. I too noticed that the Cardinals are about bottom 5th in the league against the tight ends. Mm-hmm. He's due for a game where he's going to score some touchdowns. He's had a couple nice, pretty good games. He's been open, made some nice plays, but we haven't really had a Dallas Goedert game yet.
Right.
And I agree with you. Today might definitely be the day. Eagles. What's the spread now? I don't even know. 4.5.
I think it was. I didn't look today. It was 5 yesterday.
I forgot to look it up right before I came on the show, so my fault there. Let's get that number there. 4.5, 5, 6, whatever it ended up being. Let's get into our prediction to today's game. How's this game going to go, and what's your final score?
Okay, I'm gonna say Eagles 31-17. I think we're gonna put it on them a little bit. I think especially with Cox getting pressure in the middle, Kyler Murray's gonna have a hard time. Kyler Murray has a hard time throwing over the middle, and I think if he gets up the middle pressure, I think it's gonna lead to some turnovers.
31-17 Birds. Okay. Mm-hmm. I'm going to go a little higher scoring on the Cardinals end. I feel like though this offense is very predictable, 91% in the shotgun, and I do think they're going to get pressure up the middle. I think it's going to come down to, are they going to be able to keep Kyler Murray in the pocket? Will he be able to use his legs to break, broken down plays, get those first downs, that type of thing? I think he will, and I am very concerned about the slot situation with Josiah Scott or Gardner or CJ Gardner-Johnson. So I still think the Eagles are going to win this game. I think ultimately Hurts is going to put the team on his back and win this football game. But it's going to be more like the Lions game. So I'm going to go 34-31 Eagles in a high scoring game out in the desert.
Okay. So it's so you have it as being a little bit of a sweat.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a sweat. The injuries are concerning, like I said, Driscoll and the line being that Eagles are going to be 4-0, like the highest, almost the best offense in the league. Mm-hmm. And, they're going against a Cardinals team that's mediocre, and the line just is telling me it's going to be closer. And then I look at the injuries, so it could go either way. Wayne Miller checking in here, 31-13 Birds, defense slay. Quez gets a touchdown. I like it. I like the call. I like a Quez TD.
Well, I was going to say, I hope Wayne Miller is right because I really don't want to sweat this game today. I want to have a nice little rocking chair ride, So I hope he's right. That'd be nice.
As do I. And there's a ton of people out in the desert actually checking out the game. So if you want to go for a trip, you got to check out Philly Sports Trips, okay? PhillySportsTrips.com has a ton of games still left. They're out in Arizona. If you look all over Twitter, they are just taking over Arizona. It's amazing. Go on Twitter and go to their Twitter as well as Crossing Broad. All the videos down there. What's the other one? 4th and John. All the videos, they are taking over in Arizona, but there's still other games left to go to here. One that, me and Joe were just talking about is that trip up to the Meadowlands around Christmas times. 325 bus up and back. They do it legit. They're legit. The food is like top of the line, food up and down on the bus, music, everything. So definitely check out phillysportstrips.com for your trip. Anything else? Any plugs? Joe, let's talk about your show. When are you on? You have a new show coming on the network as well. Talk about these shows coming up.
All right, so you can check me out, the Sully Squad, Monday nights at 6. We're right here on Edge of Philly, and we talk 4 for 4 Philly sports. Hopefully we'll be talking an Eagles win tomorrow night, and you could also check me out. We got a new show coming out. Well, it's not really; it's a new show to the network. My uncle and I have been doing it for about a year and a half. It's called Philly Sports: The Old School, and this Friday at 7:00, we are going to do all-time Eagles wide receivers from Tommy McDonald to Terrell Owens, and we're going to break down, so it'll be Tommy McDonald, you have Mike Quick, all those guys, Harold Carmichael, etc. In the past we've done Buddy Ryan Eagles, we've done Allen Iverson Sixers, so. Look, really pumped to get it back because we're going to be doing different eras, different sports, so check us out because, take the DeLorean back and go back in the time, relive some good memories,
I just won a Tommy McDonald mini helmet autograph for $23 on an auction on eBay. So I'm pretty pumped up, and I'm interested to that show. I love that type of stuff. So great stuff from Devereaux Sports and the Sully Squad, Joe Sullivan. You can catch all the great shows on the EOP network. Just go to eopsports.com. You got the painted lines. They got a ton of Sixers coverage coming up as well. Devereaux Sports, Philly Press Box, the Patterson Ave Fanatics, Birds IQ. Sorry if I forgot you. I apologize, but
real quick, I forgot something too because the Flyers are starting this week, and it really upsets me because I grew up as a huge hockey fan, and there's really no excitement for the Flyers. In fact, myself, I can't remember if you're selling Flyers tickets, you must have like the hardest job in one of the hardest jobs in sports right now. But if any Flyers fans out there though. I wrote an article that came up on the site. Basically, it was a Flyers preview, and kind of, my take is that I'd like to see them kind of pull a Sixers and maybe punt this year and try to get a Joel Embiid type talent like the kid Bedard that's coming out. So, any Flyers fans out there, if you want to check out the article, let me know your opinion.
Yeah, check out that article. Joe's been putting up a few great articles on EOPsports.com. And speaking of Flyers, Matty B, he has a Fighting's Final show on Tuesdays. He's also going to be doing a post-game Flyers show as well. So check out everything on the Painted Lines and Edge of Philly Sports. For Joe Sullivan, I'm Freddie Burns. Go Birds.
Go Birds, baby.